Hello, my Lieberfriends, and welcome to Full Length Fridays. I am Lieberman, and today I have a very, very special guest, Miss Kati Morton, who is a YouTuber and a therapist.
Yes.
Yes, and we talk about therapy a lot on this channel, so I was really, really excited to bring Kati on and to have a real therapist answer some of your questions, and I hope that that's okay. I think that it is. We are here today at YouTube Collab Camp, which is an awesome program put on by this guy, Jonathan Katz, who's an amazing dude. You can check out his info in the description below, and I hope that you enjoy it. We got 3 emails today, and we were just going to jump right in. But before that, Kati, where can they find you?
You can find me on YouTube, Kati Morton, K-A-T-I-M-O-R-T-O-N.
Yes, and I'm going to throw that in the description as well, so just check that out. Check out her channel. It's awesome. Okay, so this first email is from a Lieberfriend, and she writes, Hey Matt, I'm a first-generation Jewish immigrant from Ukraine, living and going to school in Ukraine. Love watching you on SourceFed. Your honesty is great and your sense of humor is pretty close to mine, so you're one of my favorites. Well, thank you very much. This is very kind. I just finished up my first year of college, and it was, to say the least, a rough year. My parents kept dragging me into bad situations because I always want to help people, and it took a toll on me. I ended up having a shit ton of panic attacks and got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Now I understand what's wrong and why I was reacting the way I was to certain things. I'm scared of telling people, though. I'm scared of telling the guy I love, who I'm scared of getting into a proper relationship with because I'm so messed up. I'm scared of telling my friends because it might be too much for them to deal with and they could leave. Most of all, I'm scared of telling my family. As an immigrant, mental health wasn't anything my family talked about. There was more thought to adjusting to life and how rough things are back in Ukraine. Their attitude when hearing about people with mental health issues is mostly to judge them and say that they're making it up. My parents put all their expectations on me. It's the whole reason we came to this country. If I feel like if I admit it to them, I'll be letting them down. How do I be honest with the people in my life? Thank you for the advice, and I'm sorry that this is so long. I know that trying to find the right advice for people and expectations is difficult. Thank you for your email. Now, Kati, how would you approach this situation? I know how I feel, but...
Yeah, I mean, it's always difficult, even if we don't have a family that has already said things to kind of put down mental illness, mental health issues. First, you have to take time for yourself. And you have to write down what it is you want to say to them. Mm-hmm. That's where I always start. You may have to practice this in front of the mirror, which I know sounds kind of weird, but it's the best way for you to get used to verbalizing what you're really going through.
Yeah, especially when you have deep anxiety issues. When you're caught up in the moment, it's very, very hard to clearly state how you're feeling and your exact message. I've always had that problem, like when talking to my parents about something that's important to me. Mm-hmm. I clam up. Having even just a list of bullet points so you can stay on message is important. I learned when talking to my dad about stuff, because he and I never really saw eye to eye on a lot of things, is give them the minimal amount of information possible to get your message across.
Exactly.
Don't over talk. The more that you talk, the more they're going to latch on to stupid things and not hear that you're actually in pain. It's very, very easy to get caught up in minutia. But I want you to know, and I think we're both in agreement on this, there's nothing wrong with you. Everyone deals with depression. A lot of people deal with anxiety. It's very, very common. It's very normal. You're not messed up. You're not doomed to have a life without a relationship that matters to you. You're not doomed to have a life without a family life that matters to you. It may take time, but everyone will come to understand that this is who you are, and that if they want to love you, they have to love all of you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it helps to just not only, I can't agree enough with like keeping it simple. I even tell my clients sometimes when you're sending emails, you don't have to give them extra information. Mm-hmm. You will get caught in the minutia. They won't hear you. But the second thing that parents always want is, what do you want from me? Mm-hmm. What can I do to help? Even though I know in this email she's saying that they may say like, get over it. We brought you here. Do better. Blah, blah, blah. They still love you.
Yeah.
They still care for you. And part of parenting is taking care of their children. So know ahead of time what you are asking of them. Is that their support and understanding? Is that I need to see a therapist and I may need financial help with that? Decide what it is you need so that when you get to the point, quickly and succinctly, what is it you're going through, and then what you need from them.
Mm-hmm. I think also when talking to friends or this boyfriend that you want to start a relationship with, don't get too bogged down in the enormity of what you're telling them, because it is so very, very common to have depression and to have anxiety. I think that if you just tell them, this is how I'm feeling. It's not like a coming out situation. It's not like a, guys, I have depression. Everything about our relationship has changed. It's not true. You're still you. You're grappling with sadness. You're grappling with anxiety. People get that. And if they care about you, and I'm sure that they do, they will hear you out and they will be compassionate.
Definitely.
Yeah.
If they're worth having around, they'll care.
I just want to address the panic attacks, because I know when I was in high school, I used to have panic attacks, and I'd have to leave class, and I couldn't calm down until I was at home lying down on my own bed. It would just repeat over and over in my head. I need to go home and lie down on my bed. I need to go home and lie down on my bed. What advice would you give to someone who's dealing with a panic attack in the moment?
In the moment, honestly, it depends on how you experience them. Some people freeze, and we just have to get through it.
Yeah.
Some people, sweat, have to move. So it depends on how you experience it. Usually, if we're in school scenarios, you're going to have to tell someone. I would encourage you to reach out to your school counselor, because then if you feel it coming on, you can leave.
Yeah.
You can get out of there. You can go in your school counselor's office. You can lay on their couch. You can do anything. Go to the bathroom. Compose yourself. Letting at least one person know, preferably a school counselor or school psychologist, because they'll understand, will help you. And noticing your triggers. That's the best thing you can do for yourself, is recognizing when it's building up, because it's in that time period we can actually help ourselves. Deep breathing, maybe it's doodling, maybe it's distracting. We do a lot of grounding techniques, like I feel something soft, I smell, and you can try to bring yourself out of it. So recognizing your triggers will help you before it gets to a panic attack, because once you're in it, we know there's not a lot we can do other than maybe escape. We go into like fight or flight, so you can get out of it. You can find somewhere to like either sit in the hallway and calm yourself down when no one's out in the hall because it's in the middle of class. Those kinds of things can help you.
Yeah, and I would encourage you, when it comes to that moment where you're deciding whether or not to ask for help in that fight or flight scenario, what's worse, how you're feeling right now, or the mild embarrassment of letting someone in on what you're dealing with? And I honestly believe that the panic attack is worse than telling someone. It feels embarrassing because you feel like no one else is doing this thing. This is my fault. I'm disgusting, or I'm not healthy, or something like that. It's so very common.
Yes.
And if you tell someone that you trust, they will be compassionate. I promise you.
Yeah, there's more people going through depression and anxiety than we even know about. I mean, and they say 4 million people in the States have struggled with it. So you're not alone by any means.
Yes. And I want to thank you for writing in today, and I hope that helps. All right, let's go to our next email. This email is from Ty. Hey, Matt, so I'll just get straight to the point. My dad is bipolar. I don't think he knows it, and I'm not sure that he realizes the effect that it has on our whole family. I'm 19 now, and he's been like this since I can remember. When I was around 7 or 8, he hit my 10-year-old brother in the face and made him fall to the ground, which traumatized him. The way he reacts now isn't as harmful physically, but sometimes he just snaps, and it's like he's a completely different blind with rage person. He mentally abuses me and my brother by saying things like we should just get out if we don't like how he acts. But here's the other side of him. He's always trying to be funny, happy-go-lucky, not a care in the world, and then that's the moment where I try to confront him by saying that he might have an anger problem or something like that, and he just blows it off like I'm the crazy one. I just don't know how to deal with living with him. I'm moving out soon, but sometimes I wonder if I just want to leave him out of my life as much as possible. I'm curious what your thoughts are and how you would have dealt with a dad like this. Well, Ty, I don't know necessarily if my dad is bipolar, but it's something that I wondered about for a long time because, I had a dad with a temper who, when he was in a good mood, he was in a great mood, and he was very, very funny and very, very likable, and then could just switch just like that. And the one thing that we all need to realize about our parents, or really just people in general, is there's only so much you can do. All you can do is communicate how their behavior affects you and how you feel. We ultimately can't change them, and it's very, very hard, nigh impossible, to change our parents. We get the family that we get, and it's very disappointing to realize it, but it's also very freeing. I wasted a lot of time when I was young trying to include my parents in my life, in every aspect of my life, and I kept getting negative reinforcement and then chickening out of the things I wanted to do and feeling bad about the fact that I wasn't living up to my potential over and over and over again. And it took a good therapist to get me to realize that the behavior was kind of abusive and that if I didn't want negative reinforcement, I shouldn't go to my parents because it's just not going to change. They are who they are. I think that on a lot of levels, your dad definitely cares about you, but if he's not willing to recognize that this may be a dangerous set of behaviors, you might not be able to change him. And I'm sorry about that. It's the reality of the thing. So the best thing in those scenarios, until you're able to support yourself and get out of your house permanently, is to try to avoid him when you sense that he's not himself. What do you think, Katie?
Yeah, I mean, I agree. It's really difficult, and I get a lot of questions like this because we crave our parents' approval. We crave their love. That's just the human element of it, that we all are like that. Your desire to get help and your desire to make it better is what makes you a great person. That's why you're writing. That's why you're reaching out. And we can't change other people, and that's the hardest thing for us to accept, is that we can only change ourselves. And so you've tried your best. You've reached out. You've said things to him when you feel like he's in a good mood, and he's like, "You're crazy. I don't know what you're talking about." And there's nothing we can do about that. The best thing we can do is help ourselves. So that may be getting into therapy for yourself so that you can recognize the patterns you put yourself in. Because something that I can not caution people enough is that if we continue in that pattern and we don't seek help to recognize it, we'll put ourselves in our life outside of our home in the same type of pattern. Like, we may seek out people who give us negative reinforcement, who perpetuate this abusive cycle because it feels normal, it's comfortable, and we don't want that, right? We want better. We
better.
Deserve better.
Yeah.
And so part of it is just reaching out for help for yourself, because you can get over this and you can avoid, like, there's nothing we can do because we have to live with them. But if we sense that they're being angry and aggressive and if they're kind of in that mood and we're worried, maybe you stay out later with your friends. Maybe you stay the night with a buddy. You know, you have to take care of yourself. And there comes a point when we become old enough to recognize these situations, that then we have to put ourselves first.
Yeah. I think that that's very good active advice. One more thing that I would say to you, Ty, is I spent my fair share of time talking to friends who are in Al-Anon, which is a 12-step program for children and friends of alcoholics or people with these very negative types of personalities. And they talk a lot about the higher power, and people get freaked out by that because they're like, well, I don't believe in God, or I'm not religious, or something like that. I don't see higher power as God. What higher power means to me is accepting how very, very small each one of us is in the grand scheme of the universe. We can't control the world. We can't control other people, no matter how much we might want to try to improve our situation by changing those other variables. There's not much we can realistically do. But what we can control at all times is how we react to these situations and how we want to feel in this moment. So if you know that your father sometimes is irrational and violent and you do not want to be a part of that, you don't have to be. Accept that this is what your life is, and how do you want to take that next step? Do you want to be in this environment, or do you want to create a life for yourself outside of it and distance yourself as much as you can so you can find a place of health and safety?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. Al-Anon's great. If you haven't checked it out, check it out.
Check it out. It's actually it's a really, really wonderful thing.
Yeah, it's really empowering.
Yeah. And for anyone who's wondering about it, they say it has to do with alcoholism. You don't have to have an alcoholic relative to be a part of it or to gain a level of, what's the word I'm looking for? I hate that these are unedited sometimes.
That's okay, like understanding.
Yeah, just like a level.
To gain some
insight.
Yeah.
And the thing, I went to a couple meetings with friends, and what it really taught me was that the feelings that I have and the way that I approach situations are not wholly unique. That there are other people whose lives look nothing like mine, for better or worse, who react to situations and to people the same way that I do. And that feeling of community made me feel a lot less alone.
Yeah. and all those things you thought were crazy and like nobody gets it, you're afraid to talk about it and you're so embarrassed.
Yeah.
It like it's so freeing to know that you're not alone, that it's like other people share in it, and it can allow you to be honest with yourself for the first time.
Yeah. And also, I encourage you to join the Lieberfriends hangouts. Like, even the ones without me, they set them up on Reddit/r/Lieberfriends. And I think the best thing that's come out of this community is people recognizing in other people, seeing themselves, and being able to make these friendships that aren't based in small talk or common, you know, like, I like this show, I like that show, but people who just want to get to know other people and just be freaking humans together, for crying out loud.
Truly connect, you know, in a real way.
Hey guys, so for whatever reason, my phone crapped out in the middle of answering this next question, so that's the only reason why there's an edit. I apologize. So we're going to answer it again. This email comes from a Lieberfriend. Hey Matt, so I need some advice. I'm not one to beat around the bush. When I was younger, I was sexually abused by someone close to me. This went on for many years, but stopped when I was around 5th grade. I'm now 18 and I've put all this behind me. Recently, one of my good guy friends asked me out and I said yes, thinking it would be great since I was really into him. When we went out, he was the sweetest, he was a perfect gentleman. Everything went basically perfect, but yet as soon as I got into the car to go home, I had a full-on panic attack and couldn't move. Side note, we're still great friends, but we're not dating. It was awful, and I had to have my mom take me home. Recently, I've started feeling anxious and depressed. I'm constantly scared of everyone and don't really feel safe anywhere anymore. P.S. Therapy isn't an option for various reasons too long and boring to mention. I'm also really lonely, but I can't even think about relationships without having a panic attack threatening to rear its ugly head. I'm going to college soon, and I want to feel safe and be able to have a relationship, but I don't know how to. I don't know if you could help, but I thought that I would just ask. Well, Lieberfriend, first thing I want you to know is that what happened to you does not mean that that's who you are for the rest of your life. You can still have a perfectly fulfilling and happy and full, rich life. It's very, very difficult to get over a violation of that kind, and I'm so sorry for what has happened to you. But I guess that's just the first thing I want you to know, is that that's not who you are. It is something that happened to you, and it's something that you're going to have to own for the rest of your life. And I'm sorry that that is a burden that you have to bear, but it does not preclude the fact that you will... It doesn't stop you. I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, is I always have to reassure my clients who struggle with this that it's not your fault. There's nothing you did. You can't wear a certain clothing and that welcomes sexual assault or sexual abuse. There's nothing you can say, do that makes it okay.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. The only thing, I think I said it earlier in the video, in the world, we can't control what other people will do to us or what the world will throw at us. And sometimes it throws good things, sometimes it throws horrible things. The only thing that we can do is work on ourselves and decide how we're going to react to something in the moment. So, you know, it doesn't mean that you can never go out again. It doesn't mean that you can never have a boyfriend. I'll tell you a story. My first really, really serious relationship, the first woman that I thought that I would marry, she was a survivor of sexual assault. And it was something that very much, it loomed large in our relationship because we were both so young and so inexperienced at being in a real relationship that neither of us knew how to communicate about it. And I feel like if she or I, or really both of us, had been able to talk about it honestly, and she could really tell me how she was feeling, what she needed from me to feel safe and loved, our relationship would have worked that much better. And I think it's important for everyone. I preach it all the time, communication, communication, communication. But you especially, because you do need specific things to feel safe and to feel loved, being able to communicate that to a partner is crucial. But I also want you to know that you can and will have very fulfilling romantic and sexual relationships. It is still very possible for you.
Definitely.
Yeah.
And part of what I work with my clients on is the process of, as sad as it sounds, to get over abuse or to get over a trauma that's happened. The healing way that we can do that is actually going through it and it's gonna feel icky, and there's gonna be a lot of things that come up with it, whether it's the embarrassment or the shame or feeling like it was your fault, all the guilts and things that we've tied into this past abuse. Know that that's completely normal to feel that. That's part of the process. And I know this person said that therapy is not an option for them, and the best thing that I can recommend for those of you out there who can't get help is the Courage to Heal workbook. And it's a yellow workbook, and I should have even looked up the name because we had time. The author, I'm terrible, but
it's okay.
It's the only one out there. If you go to Amazon and search the Courage to Heal workbook, it's the only one there. And it's written by a woman who is a sexual abuse survivor herself, and it goes every step of the way from this happened to me and I feel shame and I feel like it's my fault and all of those things that come along with it, all the way through to I love someone, I want to have a loving sexual relationship that's healthy, and I don't know how to do that, and it walks you through. And there are even different things you can do with your partner to help communicate what your needs are, what is it that you are asking of them, and a lot of people will need like words. Let's say you're just kissing and it gets to be too much. You have to have like a word that you say that means like, okay, we have to stop. I'm feeling overwhelmed, and just recognizing that. So it's a wonderful book. Pick it up. And I know this person said they're going to college, and the great thing about college is that therapy is available for free. I went for a whole year when my dad passed away, and it was all free through college. So reach out to your local student. It's usually like a health center, and you can ask about it, because I know it's hard to reach out. I know it's hard to get therapy, and it could be financially prohibitive, but that makes it available completely free of cost. And the best thing you can do is find a therapist to work with.
Yeah, and also check the description. I'm going to put a link to that book that she mentioned, and I'm going to put it right there in the description for anyone who wants to pick that up. Katie, I want to thank you so much for joining us today and for all of your wonderful advice. Please remind them again where they can find you.
I am on YouTube, and it's Kati Morton, Katimorton.
Yes, and I'm going to put that in the description as well. And I guess just one last thing on this email is that ex-girlfriend that I mentioned, I want you to know that she is now in a very good, very healthy relationship. We talk, very little, but from time to time. And she's living in Norway, living her dream of being a photographer, working at a bar in a small town, and she's just in love with this wonderful dude. And he's able to provide her with the things that I couldn't. She's able to communicate to him the things that she couldn't to me. It is 100% possible, and I want you to want that for yourself. Guys, that's going to be the video for today. I hope that you enjoyed it. Thank you so much again to Katie.
Thanks for having me.
Lieberfriends, hang out tomorrow at 3 p.m. If I don't see you there, then I'll see you on Monday. Thank you so much. Have a good weekend.
Bye.